So I've been editing photos on a consistent basis for almost a decade now, and I've come to realize that there are actually ways to edit photos that are simply just much more effective, yield better results, and just overall ensures that you get higher quality photos. However, for some reason, I've also noticed that many people, if not most, aren't doing this. So in this video right here, my friend, I'm not only gonna show you, but also teach you a powerful editing technique that revolutionized my entire workflow and how you can use it to edit better photos yourself. All right, so welcome to Lightroom. Now, usually what most people do when they edit the photo, they open up Lightroom, they make a crop, they do some basic adjustments, or just press auto here to get it like basic adjustment for them. And then what is that doing is to working on tone curves and colors and etc, etc, etc. Now, what I found is a much better way and yields for me much like better results and like photos looking better in general is that before I do all this, I go up here to the masks and I start to creating all of the masks that I want to shape the light and getting it looking perfect from the beginning. You understand a little bit what I'm talking about in a second. There's a lot to talk about here because this is like fundamental photography. And you know, every photo is a little bit different. So usually I take like a moment to just look at the photo, think, what is it that I want to achieve? Now I want to brighten up the middle part here. This is like the subject, and I want our open up and the eyes to focus on it, while maybe darkening the background here and enhancing the sunlight and the sky a little bit. So what I would do with the light here, I would probably first create a radiant filter like this, make it big, like this here. Now, if you're a total beginner and you don't know what a radial filter is, this is basically like a filter that is a circle, and everything that you open up here, every change they make is going to be starts here and then gradually becomes less and less, and you can feather it out here. Now I usually like to keep mine pretty feathered out, just depends on what I'm doing, but something like this here I think is nice. I would also like to make the entire foreground brighter, but we cannot brighten the entire image because we're gonna blow out the sky and the sun pretty quickly. So how I would combat that, I would go and create another mask. I would create a gradient filter and make it, no, not a radiant filter, sorry, a gradient filter like this here. And I would open it up just like so. I'm trying to get all the mountains. Now it's really hard to get all the mountains in it like this, but the trick that you can do, you can go get as close as you can. Then what you can do is, if we just zoom in like this, we click on the mask, click plus, click the brush size here. Now I have the brush on, I click auto mask, and I basically start to paint on the mountain to get it up here. So we're adding this here to the mask, all right? It doesn't have to be all perfect for the sake of the tutorial, but as you can see here, that we have made a mask around the entire foreground. It looks pretty damn nice, this little mask of ours. If you press O, you can hide the mask. Press O again, you can see the mask. Press H and you hide these little, like all the other masks. But what I would like to do with this now, basically to brighten up the foreground, I like to open up the exposure a little bit, open up the whites a little bit more. These are like clouds, or not clouds, like low fog. It was such a beautiful day when I took this photo. Just contrast a little bit, highlights now, and shadows. Now maybe we can take here up the clarity a little bit on this one, just getting them to pop a little bit. Just like so. And I mean, already this is starting to look pretty damn good. What I would probably do next is a linear filter like this, another one, but this time I'm gonna darken it a little bit. So I like to have my foreground just a little bit darkened, and this is gonna make a nice gradient from this bright zone here down to here. So basically, if you see what I'm doing, I'm shaping the light first before I start to manipulate with the tones. I mean, that doesn't mean that it's set in stone. I can change it later as a beauty of editing, but for me, just shaping the light first and making sure that the lighting is perfect, it's elevating my photos to such a new heights, because lighting is everything in photo. So if I get the light right, the rest of the photo and the pieces there will start to fall down. And my friends, there are so much things I can do here. For instance, I want to enhance this area right here, where the sun is. And what I can do here, if we press the gradient filter and we make it super tight on here and feather it out all the way. A cool thing that I could do is that I can take up the temperature to make that brighter. No, not brighter. The sun, to emphasize on the sun, you know, the sun rays, the
golden tones in the sun, if you know what I'm saying.
And how much you want to do just depends on your style and what you're gonna want to achieve. Another thing I could do here, I like personally to go down with the dehaze slider, just ever so slightly. This just makes the sunlight a little bit more softer, and I often would like to take down the clarity as well on it here. And I think this is a beautiful little look. And to compensate for the loss of colors, if you will, that we got there, and the hazy, I would take up the contrast just a little bit. And I think this makes a sunset very, very, very pretty. And you can see just the before and after. I mean, it's pretty nice. Now, I would most likely take another brush here. And I think that this area has gotten a little bit too bright. You can see, probably if you see it here, it's a little bit too bright here. So I would brush it, something like this. And just keep in mind, this is just for the sake of the tutorial. I take a long time in just shaping the light when I'm doing this myself. With a good cup of coffee, good music, you know the drill. And I would probably take up the contrast just a little bit and maybe down with the highlights just ever so slightly. And it's starting to get a good form. And we haven't even started with the tone curves and everything like that. We're just shaping the light first. Now, next I would probably take down the gradient filter like so. And here I would probably decide, okay, do I want to brighten up the sky or do I want to darken it a little bit? And I can do whatever I want there. It's it's my creativity. And few things that I want to show you, like if we take this photo for instance, just see how much the masks do. So this is the photo. I think it's nice, it looks good, it's not a bad photo, but just look at what the masks do. If I click the mask here, boom, this is what the photo looked before. And just with that, not a few masks, you can see how many masks there are, but progressively shaping the light a little bit more and more, and bam, we get a sick photo. I'm opening up the middle part right here. I know that the lighting source is coming here. So what I'm do, I create an extra radiant filter. So I couldn't show you this in this photo, for instance, because the lighting source is in the middle, but then I made this little thingy, what we did here. But usually what I do, I can just create a new one and exaggerate it to show what I mean. But I create a radiant filter and I make it where the light source is coming from. And the light source is coming from the left side or the right side of the photo, sorry, like this. I would probably not have it this feathered out. You can just choose yourself how much you want to feather it out. Here you can see what's happening. And what I would do then, I would basically maybe drag up the exposure just a little bit. It just depends. But usually what I like to do is to play around with the dehaze because it creates like this misty feeling. You can see if I'm exaggerating here. Down with the clarity to soften up the light a little bit. And one thing that you can do too here is to play then with the temperature slider. You want the temperature to go a little bit more up like this, then you're mimicking the sunlight. And another cool thing I often like to do is also play with the colors and the contrast colors. So let's say we wanna, just for exaggerating purposes, you're not gonna do this, you understand what I'm saying? We're exaggerating that the color here is super, super warm. It's looking very, very like the sunlight is warm. What you can do then is to create a gradient filter in the other direction on the water and cool the water. So the water becomes much more bluer. And I think this is a perfect example here. For instance, if we play around with these masks here too, on this photo that we started this entire journey with, is that we exaggerate the sunlight a little bit more here. It looks pretty good. Then with this slider, now this mask that was this entire thing, we can cool it down. So that becomes super, super, super cool. And this we're doing before I'm going down in the colors. Now there is a few more things I want to show you that will help you become a much better photo editor and just understand what you're doing more. But I've recently released a brand new preset pack. So if you also want to take your photos to the very next level and also like just speed up your workflow a whole lot and ensure consistent look, then my friends, here you have over 28 different presets plus overlays. And you can see, I can take this photo here, we go cold nights, bam, we have a banger. Or if I have a photo like this one here, I can reset it so it looks like this. And I have my winter presets, we can just basically go, this one, this here, looks pretty good. One click and it looked like this to this. It's pretty nice. Or if you're in a summer place, what do you do here? We have a little golden, dream here, bam. Take up the white balance ever so slightly, up with the contrast, and we have a fresh looking photo. Now if you decide to purchase this, I have a over 20-minute tutorial that is exclusive to you guys where I show how I use this pack to get the maximum efficiency and just a little more insight into my workflow when I'm editing photos. And my friend, thank you so much for the support. I mean, I can't describe how much that means to me. Anywho, what I wanted to show you too is, for instance, with this photo here, what I've done is that there are a lot of masks that are creating this look here. So for instance, it looked like this, very flat and boring, but by shaping the light, and this is the key word here, I'm creating a much more three-dimensional photo. And for instance, one mask that I was thinking about a lot here is this one. So what it's doing basically, it's adding this like the temperature to the sky here, or the sunset, making it a lot like more color in it by dragging up the temperature. It's a radial filter that I've just taken down the feather a whole lot, and then I took down the dehaze and the clarity just ever so slightly to make a more misty feeling here, so it's like blooming out here. But on the contrary, I made another mask here, or I think it's like this one, that I've taken down the blue here to get the eyes here to be more blue. And also I'm dragging down the exposure to darken the foreground a little bit to help our viewers' eyes to the subject. And that is a crucial thing in photo editing and just photography in general, to find a subject and then you're trying to lead your viewers' eyes to the subject while eliminating distractions. And you can do it in many different ways, but one is to like shape the light, or basically enhance the light, because your first job is to get the photo with good lighting, and then afterwards you're enhancing the lighting and creating this beautiful scape. And you can see how much it does here. Here I have another example for you guys where I did a lot of different masks, and all of them, it looked like this, very boring, not so three-dimensional. Bam, we've opened up the middle here with these masks that are like opening up with the exposure and all that I showed you, and then we're darkening this foreground a little bit and darkening here, closing in on the subject, helping to enhance the light and creating a beautiful little photo. Now with all that being said, if you want to get much better at editing your photos fast, then you need to watch this video next and learn these 15 tricks that the pros know that amateurs simply do not.